This is Saida Garrett, and I'm tuned in to Intro to Info with my girl Makisha.
Greetings, greetings, greetings. It's the Flowices here, and I'm tuned into Intro to Info with my girl Makisha. All love, always.
Welcome to today's episode of Intro to Info. I'm your host, Makisha, and I'm broadcasting live from Upper Marlboro, Maryland. And you're tuned into Intro to Info. Wham Tam and Queen of Hearts will be here in a moment. And thank you for watching, whether you're watching live or in rewind. We're here every Thursday, 9 to 10 p.m., right here on the J King Network. We appreciate your viewership as well as your listenership. And you know how we do. We're either going to cover pop culture, current events, or have a wonderful guest that we done found somewhere, either in person or online. And this week, we're talking to somebody who I find to be phenomenal. I can't wait to hear her story and talk to her. Her name is Ms. Arsha. Let's learn more about Ms. Arsha. She is a licensed professional counselor and founder of Safe Spaces PLLC. She specializes in working with women and couples, helping them navigate life transitions, relationship challenges, anxiety, common issues, and personal growth. With over 18 years in the mental health field, she is passionate about creating a supportive space where clients can heal, strengthen relationships, and evolve into the best versions of themselves. Ms. Arsha, welcome to Intro to Info, and thank you for being our guest today.
Thank you so much, Miss Makisha.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I can't wait to spend this hour with you. And I want to begin by just speaking about your background a little bit. So my first question for you is, can you share what inspired you to become a licensed professional counselor and how your journey with mental health began?
Well, my journey began really actually when I was in high school. So I went to Reagan High School here in Austin, Texas, and my counselor, Mr. Starlin, was such an impactful person for me graduating and wanting to go to college. So he was one that kind of pushed our class to be better. And so I knew in high school that I wanted to be a school counselor. So fast forward, um, I was stationed in Hawaii, and I got the opportunity to come back home and be a counselor at the high school that I actually graduated from. So I was able to give back in a different type of way. So after being a high school counselor, I wanted to kind of dive deeper. But at the time, Prairie View did not have online classes for me to go back and finish the courses that I needed to become a therapist. So, COVID was a blessing and a curse, right? And so I was able, after COVID, I was able to go online, finish the 4 classes to become a therapist, and that is why I'm here. I'm still a school counselor during the day, and then in the evening, I am a therapist for women and couples. So that's
Wow,
how I started.
so you attended Prairie View?
Yes, undergrad and grad.
That's all right. That's
Mhm.
all right. We love a good HBCU. I'm actually a
Yes.
school counselor at Howard, so we have that in common. This is
Oh,
wonderful.
good, good. Mhm.
This is so
Good.
wonderful. So that makes this going to make this conversation more even more
Lot
interesting. Thank
interesting.
you, Mitchie. What led you to specialize in working with women and couples specifically?
Well, I just have a passion for helping women, right? I've had a lot of businesses, and in all those businesses, the it summed up to just being an encourager. It summed up to speaking life into women. And while speaking life into women, I was speaking life into myself, right? I was a single parent before I met my husband. I was a single parent, and just transitioning into different areas of my life, I've learned a lot along the way. So now I'm able to help women get over the humps that I had and be what I didn't have, right? Just having that safe space, a true safe space to where someone can come into therapy and just be able to say whatever they need to say, and it be a true no judgment zone. So I want to be for women and couples what I needed growing up.
No, absolutely, absolutely. You said that you mentioned that you had several businesses. What were some of your businesses?
Okay, so I used to, I had a wig company called Alter Ego Wigs, where I made hair pieces for women with cancer. I also would have hair shows where we would donate to women, and seeing how women with cancer would put on this wig and it gave them immediate confidence. That was, it showed me a part of my calling, right? Being a school counselor and we have to speak into women, it just kind of was like something that like really transitioned. So I made wigs for about I want to say 9 years. I used to hand sew them. I taught myself how to make it on a sewing machine, so I could actually get more out, because the business was moving very quickly, and it was just me. So, wigs, and I also I'm an author. I have a book on Amazon, and it's 31 Days of Growing Pains, and it is a 31-day journal where it gives you real life examples. It helps you with affirmations, and it just kind of helps you to kind of process things that you have maybe suppressed or avoiding. But it's a healing guide that you can really do every month if you wanted to. When I go back to the journal now, I released that in 2002, but when I go back to the journal now, like, I still learn things about myself. Who I was in 2002 is not who I am today. So I'm an author, and I am currently, a therapist. I'm currently a school counselor, and also I create digital products for women and couples.
Amazing. So these roles that you have, all of them sound like they will keep you humble. Starting with the wig making for the women with cancer, that would just humble me like no other. When I watched my grandmother go through the cancer, it humbled me. So I want to know what your interactions were with those women, and I feel like the wigs probably gave them a good sense of self even during the time of like the diagnosis. Can you speak more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. You just never know what people are going through, especially if you have never experienced it, right? So being able to connect with the women who had cancer, and they can let me in on how they're feeling and what they feel like they're missing. I had the privilege to be at the ceremony where one of the women shaved their head, just to kind of like release and start over. And after she shaved her head, they then presented the wig to her, right? So I was able to kind of be on this journey with women and see things from a totally different perspective, and also just be thankful that that God has allowed me to interact with these people so that I can see things from a different perspective. I've never had cancer. Yes, I've had individuals in my life who have had cancer. However, people who have experienced different life events have a different type of appreciation for life. So it just gave me more of an appreciation to where it's like, seeing them and knowing that they're fighting life every day and they can still do it with a smile and they can still feel beautiful, and not just feeling beautiful on the outside, but feeling beautiful on the inside. So with alter ego wigs, it was just more like really wanting to bring out that inner woman that a lot of us try to hide, and just being bold, walking bold in who you are and who God called you to be.
Absolutely. What do you think about the phrase therapists need therapists?
Honey, let me tell you, I truly believe that all therapists should have a therapist, right? We actually process so much, and we also have to have an outlet, right? So, just like for an example, I had 5 back-to-back sessions today, right? And so, some of those sessions are very heavy, whether it's with individuals, whether it's with couples, they can be very, very heavy. So, if I don't have an outlet to where I can release and be whole, and it not weigh on me, that
Yeah.
makes I'm able to do what I love to do as a whole, right? I'm not showing up in a way where I'm half stepping, right? I'm able to truly be and sit with my clients, regardless of how heavy it is, because I also have an outlet. And I honestly feel like me personally, I wouldn't see a therapist who does not have a therapist or who has never gone to therapy.
Mm,
Because if you've never processed your own feelings, how can you help me process mine? If you've never sat in a chair and felt what it feels like to be in therapy, how can you truly, truly relate to me when I come needing help and guidance? Not saying that you can't, but it's just when you have gone to therapy, you have a deeper level of self-awareness, So I genuinely will not see a therapist that does not have a therapist. That is actually the first question that I would ask any therapist.
yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And you said 5 back-to-back sessions. That
Mhm.
without a break. And like you said, they're heavy. And I'll add the
Yes.
word draining just on my end. Sometimes it's draining because, like you said, we're listening attentively and we
Mhm.
take that on. Like,
Mhm.
some of the things that happen to people that, you take it on. Like you said, but you got
Mhm.
to compartmentalize. And like you said, you have to have an
Mhm.
outlet. What's one of your outlets?
Um, well, I haven't actually been able to do it in a while because n- you know, transitioning from school counselor and then picking up being a therapist. I used to go roller skating every Tuesday, and that kind of like brought back the child in me. Um, but my outlet is really like journaling. I love listening to podcasts. Um, I love laughing. So a lot of times, honey, I will check out TikTok and just, laugh. Some of the what do they call those? The battling, that it gets very like funny, and it's just laughing and just being able to disconnect. So I
Sure.
do have my guilty pleasures. I'm now into like Netflix series, which I've never really been a TV person, but Facebook will have it to where they'll spit out these movies and it's like, oh, I want to try it. And when I do try them, they are amazing. So that's kind of like what I do to just release. And then, I am truly a child of God. So
Mm-hmm.
when those other things, well, actually God is first, but I do those other things to just bring some joy. But I'm always gonna go to God. If I can't go nowhere else, I'm gonna definitely go to God and being able to process the things that I hear and I have to help individuals and couples with. It's nothing but God. And I know He created me specifically to be a therapist so that I can speak life into others.
And having to be a fortress while you're being a therapist that takes strength. And it, like, I love how you incorporated God and said God is first, because a lot of the times I think if God was not our mainstay, then we will probably crumble. It gets
That's
hard.
right, Miss Markeisha. That is absolutely correct.
Having to be that fortress, because you want to cry, emote, you want to be like, okay, hold on, give me a second, but you have to keep going because you're supposed to be that fortress for them. If you fall apart, then what?
Well, now listen, I'm not perfect. I do have my moments, I'm a therapist, but I'm still human, so I do have those moments where I am emotionally overstimulated. I do have those moments where I have to gather myself. And then, you have those moments where some of your clients will try you, but I build a great rapport with my clients where they know anything that I say is out of love. It is genuine. I'm a very compassionate person and I speak from the heart, so nothing that I say, I will hold my clients accountable, right? I'm not going to let you half step, but I'm human as well. I make mistakes. I have days where I'm emotional. So yeah, I'm human though.
We're talking to Miss Arsha right here on Intro to Info. Once again, thank you for your viewership. So Arsha, after 18 years in the field, how has your approach to counseling and therapy evolved and changed?
It's really changed tremendously. When I started, I wasn't as experienced as I am now. When I started, I was becoming a woman, like trying to find myself, right? And so I started off at elementary. I've been a school counselor at every level. So I started off at elementary and then ended up going to high school, and then now I'm in middle school. Middle school is a whole nother ball game. But I've evolved, right? I've experienced life, and because of the things that I've experienced, it makes me a better therapist. It makes me a better woman. It makes me a better wife, mother. And I can speak to women, to couples, not based on what I've learned or what I've read in a book, but what I've experienced, So, yeah, I've looking back, I have evolved so many times, right? Because you never stay the same, right? So I have evolved in so many areas, and over time, like God just keeps on building, right? He just keeps on using me in different areas in different seasons of my life. So yeah, I have truly evolved, and it makes me a better therapist. It does.
So you're dealing with a lot of different people, a lot of different personalities. And you said sometimes they try you, which I can attest to. What's an example of somebody trying you? How did you handle it?
So like it'll be something as far as really like with my teens, they will assume that I don't know, or they will assume that I don't know how they feel. And it's like, I've been a kid before, right? So it's like, I've had boyfriends in middle school, and I've broken up or been broken up with or been rejected, or, like, you do know that I've lived life, so it's things like that. Or, sometimes with clients, like, you really have to build rapport, because some come in rejecting therapy, like they don't want therapy, sometimes they are brought in by parents, sometimes with couples, one may be wanting therapy and the other is kind of apprehensive about therapy, but they will try. They will definitely try and push back.
Hi, Wham Tam.
Hello, Wham. I don't
How
think.
you doing? Tam, are you able to hear us?
Hello.
Hi, how you
Hello.
doing?
I believe our sister Tam is having a slight audio delay. Give her a
Good,
second.
good.
Okay.
Okay, fantastic,
Just
wonderful.
life is life. We gonna
Life is
keep
life.
on moving.
Mhm.
Or should sound like me and William Tam. I need some a session after this, a therapy session.
We can definitely debrief.
So let's talk about Safe
Mhm.
Spaces, PLLC.
Mhm.
What was the vision behind founding Safe Spaces, and what need were you hoping to meet in the community?
Well, Safe Spaces is just what it is titled. I wanted to create an environment where you could tell me your deepest, darkest secret and it's safe, right? Especially as a woman, we, in our groups, sometimes we are judged, sometimes what I feel, what I may be going through, you may not see it that way, or what I feel, how you may be going through something, I may not have experienced. So I created Safe Spaces so that you could come to an environment and it truly be a safe space, and you don't have to sugarcoat anything, you don't have to beat around the bush, you don't have to kind of hide anything. This is a true safe space. I have endured seasons in my life where I was judged, right? And when you are the strong friend, sometimes you cannot not be the strong friend, right? So when you are vulnerable, it's taken a different, like your friends are kind of like, hold on, wait, you're supposed to be the strong one, So it's like going through seasons like that in my life, I was like, I want to create a space where people can come and be who they are without judgment and without fear of judgment, and truly feel safe, So that's where Safe Spaces came from.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing life taught me with regard to what you just said about wanting to create a safe space where people could just say whatever it is that they feel in their heart. When people started doing that with me initially, I was like, what the hell? But I was like, wow, they think so much of me that they admitted this to me. And that's how I started taking a different approach and respecting the fact that that they did that. And I was like, dang, they really feel like safe and comfortable to say that. And so in the same vein, I'm glad that you were able to do that, because everybody really needs that, to be honest with you. Women do, but I want to say that the men do, because they're taught to be so strong from young. I definitely want to say that the fellas need that as well.
And I see that a lot in my couples therapy. A lot of the time, the men come in and they're the ones that are kind of uncomfortable. But we in the way that I do therapy, I love to laugh. I love to kind of like break the ice, and I just let them know, like, hey, I'm not here to judge. I'm here to help. And I do tell them there is nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, that you can come in here and tell me that I haven't heard. A lot of couples think that they're the only ones going through what they're going through, and majority of my couples have the same issues, the top one being communication, So I make them feel comfortable in the sessions.
Let's talk about the communication. What's, excuse me for being crass and saying this, what's so hard about communicating?
In my opinion, it has a lot to do with how you're brought up, right? Some homes did not encourage speaking up and speaking your mind. And in our communities, it's, you're to be seen and not heard, growing up in the past. In my days, it was, you are
Mhm.
to be seen and not heard. We don't want to hear all that noise in the house. And when your parents were disciplining you, if you had an emotion or if you had something that you wanted to talk to them about, it was seen as disrespectful, right? Because it's like if I tell you you can't go to the store, um, we couldn't ask our parents, well, why can't I go to the store? Now that I have a better understanding, my kids can say, well, mom, can you explain to me why you don't want me to go to the store? And I don't take it as being disrespectful. I take it as a conversation that needs to be had. So I feel like it's really how a lot of people were brought up. And it also has a lot to do with confidence. Some people are not comfortable speaking up. Some people are not comfortable creating boundaries and enforcing them. And we live in a world where a lot of people are people pleasers. So when it comes to communication, instead of having that conversation, I'm just going to let it ride and kind of go along until going along is a problem. So I think it has a lot to do with how people are brought up and their perception of what communication is.
William, Tim, I know you're going to have a question or a comment for what Arsha has just said, but I want to ask this one question first. Arsha, do you think men are just as emotional as women?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We just sometimes we don't create environments that embrace it. But absolutely.
I interviewed Dr. Sherry Blake, who's she's the Braxton's, like their therapist, and I asked her the same question, and she responded the exact same way that you did. Very interesting. Wham Tam, go ahead. I know you got something to say, Wham Tam. Go ahead. I'm gonna be quiet. What you got to say, girl?
I'm just gonna say, welcome, Dr. Arsha.
Not
You
exactly this way,
have
but
a gift when you. Well, listen, when you out here dealing with this
speak it over. Speak it over.
relationship, safe space, mental health, because that's what a lot of it boils down to. Communication is, in my opinion, now that I'm 46 years old, it's a choice. You know, you get to a certain age, you get set in your ways. And so now you have the job of deprogramming. Like, let's try something different. And a lot of people are just scared of change in itself. Doesn't even have anything to do with the other person. So now you have all of these issues, and then you guys are married or cohabitating. So that just adds to it. And then you have the financial pieces and the children, and you know what I'm saying? So life is, having a safe space is, it's, for me, that's a blessing. It's a really big blessing for you to provide that, and also just be able to articulate to people that it's okay for men to feel, for them to cry, for them to speak out. They don't feel that they have that a lot of times. So, and I've been through it. I'm divorced now, but my husband always thought I was just a strong person. I was always this, I was always that. But in reality, I was just as soft as any other woman. But I felt that I had to be a certain way in order for things to move. You know what I mean? So there has to be a balance of the feminine and male energy if you guys are going to be able to move forward in a positive way.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question, Miss Wham Tam? Do you feel that you knew how to communicate? And if so, how? How did you learn how to communicate? Is she there?
Good question.
You there,
It was
Mr.?
breaking up. I didn't hear the
Oh.
question.
I was saying, do you feel you knew how to communicate? And if so, where did you learn how to communicate or converse with people? It doesn't have to necessarily be your partner. It could be your friend. It could be your boss. Did you know how to express your feelings and converse and communicate with your partners?
Well, I think when I was maybe a teenager, I thought I did. Because we think we're grown, we know everything. But I got married at like 24. And I thought I was pretty good. But again, I was very naive to a lot of things. And maybe it's the person you're with will kind of show you who you are. So now looking back, I can say, no, I didn't know how to communicate. No.
Yeah.
I just did what I thought was best.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And that's the issue that I recognize a lot. And it's not just with couples, it's with people, period, where they don't truly know how to communicate, right? They don't know, they can't put words with feelings, They can say, I'm angry or I'm mad and not understand I'm actually not angry, I'm hurt, So I feel like a lot of times people don't know how to communicate, therefore they don't, because it's easier for me to just be quiet, because I don't know. I can't even talk to you, and then if I'm trying to talk to you and I'm stuttering and then it comes out all wrong, I'm just gonna be quiet. You know what I'm saying? So I think if we learn how to communicate, and a lot of times it's not what's said, it's how it's said, communication, we could close that gap, when it comes to communication.
But once somebody feels
I think it's just like,
go ahead, Tim, I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, like you said earlier, how, children are supposed to be seen and not heard. As we were younger, just, I don't know if it's our culture, but, that goes a long way.
Yes.
Just being quiet, and that silence.
Yes.
I mean, it really, really takes over into every part of your life as you get older. So I applaud you for jumping into that world.
Thank you.
But I mean, and Arsha, I know that you probably can relate to this, but once somebody does feel comfortable and feel like they can talk to you and feel like it's a good banter, they will almost not stop talking. Like once they feel comfortable, people will literally go on for hours. And I've seen that a lot, and you can tell. I think that the person has been waiting to do that and waiting for a chance. So they just got so accustomed to not doing it that day. When they are able to do it, it's almost incessant. Do you know that to be true?
Yes. Sometimes I will just allow my clients to just get it off their chest, right? In those instances, I do take notes so that we can come back. If there is something that sticks out, I will say pause, and pause, I'll ask them to tell me a little bit more about that, but most definitely once you pop the lid, it's almost like, I can now say it, because I've for so long. But yes, most definitely.
Yeah, which is why the need for you and people in your field who are good at what they do, and it's not just a paycheck, it's actually a passion.
Absolutely.
It's so necessary. Let's talk about you. So you have some children. Have any of them taken an interest in what it is that you do? Do they ask questions? Might one of them want to follow in your footsteps?
Yes. My youngest daughter is she thought about doing the same. She will have her friends, she will call me with her friends to help them. And she's always like, oh, you can talk to my mom. She's a therapist, and I'm like, girl, put me on the spot. Listen, y'all gonna have to slide me a cash app or something. But just being able to, again, be what I didn't have. My growing up, my father was a pastor and my mom was a first lady. So a lot of their time was spent in the church, and my parents were, they did the best that they could do, with what they had. And so I didn't have that outlet as a kid. Right. So I am that for my children. I am the more monotone and just like, they will come to me first, because they're like, oh, mama's gonna listen. Mama's gonna listen. It's just like, we don't want to go daddy, because dad is like, hey, this is what it is. And, you either piss or get off the pot, So mom is just like, okay, well, let's talk about it, So my youngest daughter is really wanting to kind of go that route.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. I'll tell Tim, I'm gonna tell you publicly, even though I've told you in our private conversations, one of my favorite things about you is you've always been an outstanding listener. Not that I'm a motor mouth, because I'm not, but the times that I do want to like rant, she is a very good listener. She listens to listen, not to respond. Mm-hmm. Like she's actually listening. And I just want to tell you publicly, friend, that I appreciate. And I'm talking about the UDC days up to this point. You've always been such a fantastic listener. I appreciate that attribute. Right.
And that's a skill.
Yeah.
Definitely
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, friend.
Yeah, that's important. I think some things in life I think are underestimated. No, go ahead, Sam. It's underestimated though, man.
I was just gonna say that I was one of those children where I was silent, but I was also listening.
Mm-hmm.
And so I picked up on a lot of things. Mm-hmm. You hear me? And I, probably some things I probably shouldn't have known, but still learning while, observing. And then when I did speak my mind, I got in trouble every time. but I was genuine, which is what I have always been, and I still am. So I'm that friend, you can't, they call me, I'm on speakerphone. Oh, you need to let me know, because I'm tell you the truth.
That's right.
But you did ask me, how did I learn to communicate earlier? And I don't know. I think part of that has come from talking to people who know who they are, and being around individuals that want to, they want you to be the best version of yourself. And I think for me, that comes with a lot of honesty and transparency, and not sugarcoating anything. In relationships, we always want those sweet nothings, and that's what they are, nothings to me, because there are a lot of words, but are they, what is the true meaning behind them? Oh, you're so wonderful, you're so great, I love you, you're this, you're that. Okay, you have the best eyes, Makisha. It's fine, and it's endearing, but at the end of the day, I need substance.
Right.
So my communicating comes from just really being myself and not taking crap from people.
And life,
because you got to protect your peace. You say, keep on living.
My dad used to say, just keep saying good morning. You're either going in a storm or coming out of storm. Just keep on saying good morning.
Yeah.
I love that. Hi, Queen of Hearts. Hi, sweetheart.
Hey, Queen.
Hi.
Queen made it on temple.
Listen, I'm so tired right now. Oh my God, I'm running on 3 hours of sleep.
Oh, wow.
And I feel it coming on.
Oh, wow.
But y'all know how I go prepping for an event. Hi, our special guest. How you doing?
Mars, how are you?
I'm here. I was like, I gotta get on here because
Better
I
late
gotta
than
get up there.
I know that's right. You here. That's all that matters.
Mm-hmm.
She works hard. She works so hard. That's a
Mhm.
hard working woman right there. Lord knows.
Mm-hmm.
Arsha, I definitely want this. This is something that never really leaves my mind. When we talk about Twitch, who was on Ellen's show, who committed suicide, but he seemed so happy on the show. And when we talk about Robin Williams, who seemed so happy, that's Mrs. Doubtfire, the comedian, and then he dies through asphyxiation. That word is so hard, but that's one subject that I always just ruminate over. And then even some of the students at Howard, same deal. And they're never in my school because I try to keep a real watchful eye for them. But is there? All right, let me ask you first. Have you ever experienced that? Because you worked in all these schools. Somebody died by suicide, and did you see it coming? Do you think there's always smoke before fire, or are some people able to mask it so well that they could just do it up to the very last minute, fake it, and then go off and do that to themselves?
I think it's both. Being in high school, you see a lot that could possibly go left, and you do as much as you can, but it goes back to that feeling safe, right? Feeling safe enough to say, this is how I feel without being judged or without people saying, oh, you're not depressed. You just need to go do something. Or what you're depressed about, you got this and you got that, I feel like when it comes to Twitch and I'm just gonna say Mrs. Doubtfire. When it comes to them, a lot of times we feel like money can buy happiness, right? And that's not the case, right? I feel that when you get to a certain level, because people don't understand, they can't relate. And so people who have not really had that type of experience, it's very hard for them to relate. And there are times where you will be able to see it, and there are times where you won't be able to catch it, and then you'll notice after the fact. Well, you'll start putting things together and say, dang, I should have known that, or I should have seen that. But I just feel that they don't feel that they have spaces that are truly safe for them. And if they have, they were not taken seriously.
And I agree with her because I know a lot of people that suffer with mental illness, and just because they smiling or always joking or whatever, people don't take them serious when they saying that they having an outbreak or a meltdown and things like that. They're like, oh, you just need to go rest, or we always want to shun things off instead of actually giving a listening ear. And we don't come to a point in our lives that as adults we be so busy and engrossed in our own stuff, our own, day-to-day things like that. So when somebody really that needs our attention, need a undivided attention, you know what I'm saying, and a listening ear, we don't have the time to be like, oh, can I call you back? Or we'll shoot them a text, oh, busy right now, can I hit you back up? Not knowing that time that person could have the trigger to their head, get ready to take their life. Sometimes we just have to really take self out the way. That's why I always tell my kids, you have to be selfless instead of selfish, and just give people time worth more than gold. And I just told my niece this the other day, somebody's time, giving you that time is way more than gold.
Mm-hmm.
And we just really have to get right to the point where we have to start showing people attentiveness, and giving them that listening ear and undivided, not with a cell phone in our hand, not in front of a TV, you know what I'm saying? Not trying to engage with everybody in the room conversation, undivided, full attention. That's what we need to get right to these days.
Well, and there's also a such thing as high functioning depression, right? And what that looks like is I am battling depression symptoms, like, but I'm still going to work. I'm still smiling. I'm still cooking. I'm still taking care of the kids. I'm still showing up for my friends. I'm still doing what I need to do in church. And you're still battling depression. You're just depressed and you're highly functioning in that depressive state of mind. So depression doesn't always look like sad or down. It could also be someone keeping busy so that they don't have to necessarily feel it. So you're absolutely right, though, Miss Queen of Hearts. Like we still need to create that space where we give people our undivided attention, because that is truly when you see the symptoms and you hear the symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
You guys remember when Erykah Badu was dating all of those famous men, Common, Andre 3000, whoever else I'm missing, and they fell for her very hard. And so one time somebody asked her, how do you make so many men of power and men in general fall in love with you? And she said, I listen to them, which could mean two things, to be honest with you. It was a very crafty response, meaning you'd say, sit down, I'm gonna listen to you, or I'm listening to you as you speak to me attentively. And I never forgot that. She said, I listen to them. And so I just think, again, listening is an underestimated attribute, attentively really listening to someone.
Mm-hmm. And I also
think it's irritating. It's irritating when a person don't do that, because if I have to constantly keep repeating myself, that means that you hearing me, but you're not listening to me.
Sure.
And that's another thing that we don't do. We hear people, and some people, like most men, they know how to on cue to make it seem like they really listening in to what you're saying. Like they program and they're timing again, and they're not really listening into what you're saying. That's irritating.
And honestly, Erykah Badu is very self-aware, and being that she is very self-aware, I believe that it's easier for her to be submissive, right? And listening, like you said, Miss Mykesha, it could be on both levels. So I listen to him and I let him lead me, right? So she's very self-aware to where she does not feel less of a woman when she is able to be submissive to her mate, So I think her being self-aware has a lot to do with it.
This is so good. You are really giving us some nuggets, dropping a lot of wisdom. In the same vein, right? When you do the couples therapy, how often is the fact that the woman won't be submissive the problem, or is it ever the problem in relationships?
Yeah, it is. In some of my sessions with couples, sometimes the husband feels that their spouse is too strong, right? She's too strong. She, I can't tell her anything, or if I say something, it's my word doesn't matter, right? And it's not that she is too strong. Sometimes we have to get down to what's underneath there, and sometimes it's she does not trust you. Sometimes it's she does not feel safe with you. Sometimes it's that is who she was built up to be, and that's all she knows, so it's a lot of angles that come from that. So when that does happen, we just try to break it down to where it started,
Mm-hmm.
And once you break it down to where it started, both have a better sense of how to approach it.
That's good. That's good. Queen Tam, questions, comments?
I just wanted to ask, I mean, you mentioned the high functioning depression. And on the flip side of that, a lot of people are high functioning anxiety. So what advice do you give people who are always looking for, being happy and just acting like everything's okay and kind of zoning out, or even maybe they have a vice, maybe they gamble, maybe they smoke weed, maybe they, whatever it is to get your mind off of it, but it never accomplishes a goal. Like, how do you work them through that?
They honestly have to actually accept that they are, because if I am depressed and I am functioning on a higher level of depression, and I don't know that is something that is an actual it's an actual type of depression, then I can't really acknowledge it. You know what I'm saying? So I think that, and I know people, TikTok, we got a lot of internet therapists, but you also learn a lot of stuff on TikTok, right? And I will say, make sure you go and research for yourself. However, we are now living in the days where people are able to verbalize how they feel, and they now understand that it's actually something, right? Like say for instance, like perimenopause. We really didn't know much about that before.
Yeah.
We just knew people was having hot flashes and, and mood swings and body was changing all of a sudden. But now that we have the internet, we have people who are speaking out about certain symptoms, we now can put a name to it. So I think it's more so putting out your symptoms and seeing what comes back, and you really need a professional to help you with that, because you can put out your symptoms and you think you're about to die tomorrow, and that's not necessarily the case, because you can put your symptoms in TikTok and they tell you, girl, it's over. And that's not really the case. So you definitely need a mental health professional to help you, so I would say you would have to definitely identify what is happening in order to put a name to it.
This is a perfect moment to plug your book, Nicole. Locating the book. Look, if you guys want to purchase the book.
Oh, thank you. Come on. 31 Days of Growing Pains.
It's on Amazon for purchase. Go ahead, take your time, do it right, and patronize Arsha. She's dropping all these great nuggets. Queen, it sounds like you had something to say. I'm sorry.
No, I just wondered, okay. I know an individual that's suffering with mental illness, and how they're coping with it, they always sleeping. All day, all night. May get up to go to the bathroom, get something to eat, and they back in a deep coma-like sleep. And you afraid to say something because you don't want it to be a trigger. You know what I'm saying? But you want things back to how it used to be type thing. You know what I'm saying? Like before they was diagnosed with this, because we was told that what triggered it is they smoked some weed or something, because it was dormant for a long period of time, and they said that when the individual smoked that weed or smoked that vape that had the weed in it, it was no longer dormant. So now it's like full blown. I mean, my question is, it's hard to accept the fact. But
Mhm.
how do you move forward from that point?
One, I would definitely go to them in love, right? And let them know, hey, I am really worried about you. I love you and I want you to get help, right? And not from a, hey, you depressed, like, why you sleeping and you need to do this and you need to, that makes it worse, honestly. But that is sleeping is a form, is a one of the symptoms of depression, sleeping, not eating or eating too much. You can be hyperfixated on something or lose interest. Um, there are times where you're so deep, dark in depression that you don't even want to get up and bathe. You don't even want to brush your hair. You don't want to brush your teeth. Like that is
Mhm.
symptoms. However, if I didn't know that or that I am not privy to that information, I would look at a person and be like, they just lazy. But I do know that that is signs of depression because I've done the work, right? And I've been experienced with that. So I would say first talk to them, let them know that you love them, and go and visit a psychiatrist. Go
Mhm.
to someone who can help you because you may need medication. And sometimes everybody is not on board with medicine, but when you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, you'll figure out which avenue you want to go, right? But I would definitely find a psychiatrist. I personally would say find a psychiatrist that is African American because they understand our struggles. I
Mhm.
want to go to someone who can relate to me in the deepest area of my life. So I definitely will find an African American psychiatrist.
They're treating with one right now, and
Mhm,
it seems like they're going through trials with medicine to find out which one that works.
mhm,
Um, it just still the patterns of sleeping all the time, don't want sunlight shining in their face, keep the whole room dark. If they do come out, they got their eyes covered, you
mhm,
know, that deep of a depression that they're in right now.
mhm.
And it hurts to see it, but it's a part of life.
First and foremost, baby, you gotta pray. You have to pray.
Um,
And
We
more
do.
ask God to give you the strength, right? Ask him to give you the strength and give you the words to speak life and to speak whatever it is that that person may need. It is going to hurt because you're watching a person, you're used to a person being a certain way, and this is now, and I'm not going to say the new normal, but this is the season that they are in. Once
Mhm.
they find the right medication, um, it can get better. They can get back to maybe not who they used to be, but there are ways to balance whatever chemical imbalance is off, right? Um, the the scary part about using drugs or like vapes or weed or any type of drug, um, it can bring out things that are dormant, right? In being in middle school, because these babies are young, sometimes they get a hold to vapes that may have different chemicals in it. And once they are high and they have this reality of what it is when I'm high, when they come down, it's almost like I don't know if this is real or not. So they kind of
Mhm.
go into a psychosis, right? Because it's just like, am I still high? Am I, and they can't tell the difference. So it can fluctuate the chemical imbalance in your brain. And that's why try to, I can't keep them from doing it, but I do try to show them the effects of it. But Miss Queen of Hearts, you stay prayed up because you need strength in order to be strong for them. but it can get better. With medicine, it can take 6 to 8 weeks to get fully in the system. And if it's not consistent, you kind of start over. Definitely be true to how you feel with that medicine, right? So let your psychiatrist know that I'm sleeping more, or I don't eat, or it makes me feel this way, so that they can either increase it, decrease it, or change it. I would definitely say be completely honest with the medicine and how it's making them feel.
Yeah, because we had what hurts the most is I was there when they tried to take their life. And I had to take them to the hospital in a mess, and still seeing them having episodes, but they're saying that they still want to do that. It hurts. It's like your hands tied. You don't know what to do.
Oh my Lord.
Most definitely.
And thank God that I don't panic under pressure, so I acted fast and got them to where they needed to be so they could pump them out and be able to still be here. So,
we love you, Queen of Hearts. We love you. You just put a
We do, sister. We love you.
Yeah.
Never alone.
Never. And also, Queen of Hearts, you got to reach out to your support as well. Because if you're not careful, it'll put you in a deep, dark depression, So you have to make sure you lean on your support system as well.
I just hold stuff in. I don't.
And that's exactly right. And I know we're at the top of the hour, but Tam, we're gonna have to do check-ins with her, just like our text messages, just to check on her, because we knew nothing of this, because we would have been much more involved in things.
Yes.
I know we're at the top of the hour, and Snitchy too.
Keep going, sister. No. If y'all must, I think y'all should, and we're fine to do that. Yes.
Yeah, we're going to be checking in on you, because we didn't know anything about that. I understand the strength need. I understand that. But you see this is a moment. This was a blessing that Arsha was on here today, because it gave you an avenue to get this out and to people that we talk every day and we didn't even know this. So we definitely gonna be checking on you. We gonna be right there for you. We already are.
Bless you for trusting us with this, sister. Bless you.
And I would say, y'all call her, listen to her voice, baby. Get on FaceTime. I need to see you.
Yes.
Because you can text and say, "Hey, how you doing, Queen?" And Queen just say, "I'm good." But if you hear it in her voice that it does not sound like her, or when you get on FaceTime, like, no, I don't care if it's 2 minutes. Get on the camera so I can see you. It makes a hell of a difference. And it is no, it's not saying that you guys are not doing what you're supposed to do as a friend, because yes, we don't know unless it comes out. But now that we are aware, it's just like, get on the phone and call her and FaceTime her and pray with her and encourage her and lift her up, because it is very hard, very, very hard. And I don't know how you feel in that aspect, but as a caretaker, I can understand your pain seeing someone who is not themselves.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And had you not been on here and talking about the subject matter that you were, we still probably would not have known that about Neek, because she's always just working and just moving, and we didn't have any idea this was underneath the surface.
And you don't have to be strong, Queen. I want you to understand, you do not have to be strong. Lean on your girls. Be vulnerable with them, because you holding it in, honey, it will turn to sickness. Stress will kill you. Okay? Stress will. And I'm telling you what I know. Okay? My mother was stressed to the point she woke up and couldn't feel her legs. So understand, you have to lean on your people. God has put them in your life for a reason. Don't ever feel like you saying too much. Don't ever feel like you are putting too much on them. Lean in on them. You do not have to go through this by yourself.
Real rap. Real rap. Arsha, thank you so much for being a fantastic guest. I would love to stay in communication with you. I love you doing the Lord's work. Thank you for helping couples and women who've been diagnosed with cancer. You are doing beautiful work, and I am inspired. And I hope that we reach some people tonight. And we just appreciate you all's listenership right here on Intro to Info. This is how you follow Arsha on both on Instagram and Facebook. And we're here every Thursday, 9 until 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this has been Intro to Info with your host, Makisha, Wham Tam, Queen of Hearts, our special guest, Arsha, our fantastic producer, Snitchy, all on the J King Network. Be blessed. Happy Juneteenth. Black Power. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Y'all feel free to stay together after
Queen.
Y'all can stay
Stay
Queen, I if you don't mind, I would like to pray for you. If you're open to that.
I don't mind.
So since I'm wonderful, I'm going to end the broadcast. I don't mean to be talking all over this right now, but yeah, y'all stay together right here.
Okay.
Bless y'all.